All right, you're listening to the AdSkills Pro podcast, where we share real life case studies from top ad buyers. And the best part is at the end of the show, you'll have a chance to hire these pros. So I'm your host, Kate Buck, and today I am sitting down with the one and only Rory Stern, a top ad buyer, and he is going to be sharing with you some of his best case studies. Hey, Rory.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm excited that I get a chance to chat with you in the not Facebook form.
Right?
Yeah. It seems like I see something from you every day. You're quite a character on the socials.
Someone's got to keep it light.
Someone has to keep it fun. I love your posts. I love I would say the character, so to speak. It's probably not really that much of a character, but I love the character that you play on social.
Yeah.
You get people talking and you make it fun and interesting. So thanks for doing that.
Hey, it's my pleasure. And it's funny. I like that. It's not a character. It literally is who I am. This will be an interesting, helpful tip maybe for someone listening. I remember as my agency started getting more recognition publicly, and my wife said to me one night, she's like, don't you think it's time to clean up your act a little bit on social? And, you're going to have potential clients reading your sarcasm, and some people will get it, but some people won't. And I'm like, nope, not changing who I am. This is me. And wouldn't you know, the next day, very, very reputable person who I respect in their accomplishment reached out and was like, I want to hire you because of who you are, because I know that there's no BS. And I was like, there you go.
That's awesome. I have tried to be that person as well. And I guess when I say the character that you play, I do mean about that sarcasm, because you do say that is who you are, is that person that kind of drums up people to get them to think differently, or kind of the shock value there. And I'm sure that has translated into the marketing that you do for your clients as well, which we will talk about in a minute. But first, I want to ask you, who was Rory? I don't know. I didn't know you before being a media buyer. So in your past life, what were you doing? And then also tell us about how that sort of blended, or what got you into media buying? Where was the interest? Where did that come from?
Yeah. So let's, this is going to be fun. A lot of get to know Rory stuff that created the monster I am today. So let's rewind back to 2006. I think it was summer of 2006. I walked across stage holding a 6-month-old daughter, receiving my doctorate in clinical psychology. So I am and was going to be a shrink. In fact, what's probably relevant to what we'll talk about with media buying is my interests were all about behavioral profiling. I wanted to join the FBI and become a behavior specialist and track serial killers, like in Silence of the Lambs. Well, some interesting life events led me to actually turn down that career path and become a stay-at-home dad. And during that time of being a stay-at-home dad, I think it took about 6 months before I was going out of my mind, not doing something. And that's when I learned about digital marketing and building businesses, and all about traffic. And traffic at the time, this is going back again, 2006, 2007, traffic was a big mystery. There were a small handful of people who knew how to really handle paid traffic. Most people did not. And I knew how important it was, but I never figured it out. I was doing all the other stuff behind the scenes to build my business, but very, very slowly. And there was this elusive traffic model out there that I wanted to figure out eventually. I did a lot of work behind the scenes for a lot of, well-known marketing companies throughout the years. And I think it was probably 2008, 2009 when one of those companies said, hey, we want you to take on paid traffic. We're going to hire Justin Brooke to coach you. And this was this was before AdSkills. I think Justin at the time was the traffic guy who worked behind the scenes for Rich Schefren. Justin wasn't who he is today. He was on the verge of it. And I immediately knew. I was like, wait a minute. So you're paying me my regular rate. You're paying to have me personally coached by Justin Brooke. And that's how I got into media buying. I started working with Justin. I learned quite a bit. As anybody listening can probably imagine right now, on what really media buying looks like. Unfortunately, the media buying didn't work for that company with the elements that they had, and it wasn't a Justin thing. And I'm not just saying that because here I am on the podcast. It literally was an internal company issue with their offer, which is a big important element of what we do, and they knew that and they recognized that. Shortly after, I started pursuing media buying, just learning as much as I could beyond that because I knew it was still important. And that's when I got involved with Facebook advertising. I became a copywriter for a very fast, early recognized agency before, again, this is going back now 2010, before everybody was a Facebook advertiser, before everybody had an agency. This was a real pioneering Facebook ad agency where I was brought on to become the copywriter, where my goal was beat the control. That was my job. Write copy that beat the control. And I always say that, Kate, and everybody, I assume people know what that means. And then the interviewer's like, all right, could you explain to people who don't know what beat the control means? So I'll do that for you. Beat the control means we've got copy.
Even though you know that I know what that means.
Yep. That's
just
what I meant.
Sure. Let's do it for everyone else at home though.
Exactly. So when you establish your ad copy and your ads that are working, that becomes your control. And you always want to be testing against that to see, can we do better? Can we beat our existing winning creative? And that is your control, and you're testing against it. And I learned how to do that about 90% of the time. So when you're beating the control, usually that means you're cutting your lead cost, you're cutting your CPA, which ultimately then influences or can influence the other side of the funnel, meaning that your profit margins are bigger and better, or greater, however you want to look at it. So at the time, I didn't know any better. I just liked getting results. And I was like, yeah, no big deal. I'm beating the control. That's what I was hired to do. Probably took me 6 years to realize that beating the control is kind of a big thing. And again, I don't say that to brag because I'm not a bragger. Like I want to do work.
Little hinges swing big doors. So you can make a very small increase in a number that's way far down in the funnel. The other side of it can have a huge impact. Like even in email, we know a 1% increase in open rate or a 0.5% of increase in open rate, depending on the size of your list, can greatly impact what happens with clicks and conversions all the way down the funnel. So absolutely, this is a really important concept.
Yeah. And I love that you actually pause to recognize that little changes, little hinges can swing big doors, because that's going to relate to what we're eventually going to talk about with images, with how we're making such a difference with simple images, is that as the copywriter for the agency, beating the control, my whole job was looking at the data. Look at the data. What does the data tell you? Are you increasing your click-through rates? Are you reducing the CPL, the CPC, the CPI? Like, how are you influencing the data? Data. And what I noticed along with that was a correlation of imagery. So this agency ran some traffic for some pretty big, well-known, reputable names inside of internet marketing as well as outside of internet marketing, meaning these people have been around and doing big business before there was internet marketing. And one of the interesting trends we noticed, which is sadly popular right now, but hey, to each their own, is these big names would want to use photos of themselves. Okay, fine. You want to use photos of yourselves. You want to use that guru image, go for it. And what we would notice is that with the copy and the images, yeah, our costs would go down for, cost per click. We would get all these webinar registrants. People would show up, but people wouldn't buy. So we had to start unraveling the numbers and going, well, what is it? Is it the copy? Is it the images? Is it the funnel? So the copy, again, was pretty well proven. So we switched the images from guru-centric images to a different style of image. And wouldn't you know, all of a sudden we had buyers. Well, what was going on? What did we uncover through all sorts of data analysis, talking to prospects, looking at open rates, all these trends, right? Because there's more to it than just the media buying side of the numbers. There's all the other numbers in the business. The people who were attracted to the guru images were the fanboys and fangirls, or fan men and fan women, who just wanted to be in their presence but weren't qualified buyers. And that's what it comes down to. There's this misconception, or this obsession, if you will, in certain circles, that media buying is all about the cheapest clicks and the best click-through rate. Those don't mean anything. They're important. Like, on one hand, they're important because they can help you determine the effectiveness of your campaign and what you need to change. But they're vanity metrics in the way that I just demonstrated with, I don't want a bunch of freebie seekers on my list. I don't want a bunch of freebie seekers. So we realize that you have to better qualify people. Well, how do you better qualify people? Everybody talks about, oh, well, your targeting needs to be on point. Yeah, you're right. Well, your copy needs to be on point. Yeah, you're right. But, and this is always a sticking point, there's always that copy versus imagery camp and debate. And I love having these debates with people. Nobody's stopping to read your copy if your image doesn't stop the scroll. And one of the objections around that, I see a lot of copywriters say, and mind you folks, I'm a copywriter at this point, right? I've beaten the control for Facebook ad copy, you know, for tons of clients. So while I'm not an A-list copywriter and I'm not out there selling copy services, I'm the copywriter for our agency and I know it works. So what I always tell people about, it's easy to stop the scroll. You're right. It really is easy to stop the scroll. So if we talk about what Justin and AdSkills teaches, there are people that have been doing it for years. Justin used to call them out. It was hilarious. There'd be people who would put these big red borders around your images. Okay, you can stop the scroll. But who is stopping the scroll? People respond to the color red. But are they people you want looking at your ad, engaging with your ad? No, you don't. So ultimately, it comes down to we can use our targeting to improve, you know, qualification. We can use our ad copy to improve qualification. People don't take the ad imagery seriously enough with just how much it can qualify your ideal prospect and customer, which is what we're going to get to. But I also don't want to push forward. I know there's some other things to talk about.
Yeah, no, we can talk about those later. One of the things I'm picking up from what you're saying is also the disqualification that the image is doing. It's not only qualifying, because when you were talking, you were saying everyone talks about get your targeting right and know your avatar and all of that. But part of knowing that is also making sure that you know who is not that.
There is more to this than just simply picking out any image you want and thinking that you can bring in the right types of traffic. It's that simple. The reason I mentioned, you know, my background in psychology, the reason that I mentioned, you know, behavioral profiling, I mean, it lends a little bit of credibility to who I am, sure. But at the same time, it also backs up that there's more to this than most people take the time to think about. And I'd love to be able to sit here and say, oh, it's my psychological training. Oh, it's my background. A lot of it really is. And I'm going to sound like such a fanboy, but I don't care. Admittedly, I am. That's why I'm still here. If you pay attention to what someone like Justin teaches, the obvious stuff is there. It's all I really did was take what I learned in psychology, what I learned at my first agency where I worked, what Justin taught, put it all together. And you start to go down the rabbit hole of finding out this is what works, this is what doesn't work, this is what moves the needle. So yes, there's qualifying, there's disqualifying. I don't necessarily think so much in terms of disqualifying because I'm so focused on qualifying. Like that's the level of thought I put into qualifying. So before I talk about that, let's go back to the agency and the copywriting and the imagery and the guru pictures versus the non-guru pictures. So at this agency, we had a formula for how we created ads that stood out. So I sort of just had all that knowledge in my head, went about my own business in running ads for myself. I eventually left that agency. I was building my own business with 2 partners that we use the images. I'm studying from Justin, and it's real simple. There's no big mystery or secret to hide. It's in Justin's Media Buying Masters. There are a couple different ways to improve your images. Jack up the contrast, put in diagonal lines because the eye cannot resist diagonal lines, and do the opposite of what other people are doing, AKA you may want to test grayscale images. That's what it boils down to. Do things that are different that you know people are going to respond to. Those are the basics. Now let's get into the nitty gritty and how do you take all of that and put it together? Well, again, option A, put together a guru picture. So I'm going to run ads for my agency and I'm going to show a picture of myself. That's a pretty common thing that people do. Okay, you can do that. I mean, it's good for branding if you want to do that. People are eventually going to get to know who you are. They're going to see your face. In my opinion, and I'm fully biased 100%, it strokes your ego. And hey, if you're into that, have at it. But ultimately what I do when we construct our images is I want to answer the question, what does this evoke in my ideal prospect? So when I'm looking at creating an image and I go, I mean, again, I don't ever have this conversation with my team of, well, should we use an image of me? It's what do I want my ideal prospect, my ideal customer to think and feel when they see my image? And in fact, if we back up to the whole ad copy debate, I go so overboard that I go, could my image alone, without any copy, bring in the right person? So ditch all the copy. Can my image do a good enough job of bringing in the right prospect to my funnel? So that's the level of qualifying that I go into. And I go, all right, how do I want my prospect to feel? How do I want my prospect to think when they see when they stop the scroll and see my image? Again, if we do like this is definitely something that I didn't pick up from Justin, although again, it's sort of the psychology background. It makes sense. Are you familiar with ink blots, the Rorschach ink blot test? So you hold up this picture to somebody, it's an ink blot, and the question is, what do you see? And people see all sorts of different stuff. And that is one thing that I can say that a lot of people probably don't know, the behind the scenes that I do, because I'm trained to administer the Rorschach. And it's amazing from a psychological human characteristic perspective of what people tell you, whether they see a bat, whether they see a dog, whether they see a kid, like it takes, I mean, literally the marketing principle that everybody learns of enter the conversation already in their mind. That's where it comes from. Like you're literally getting into somebody's psyche. So if I can do that with an image, nobody's going to scroll through Facebook and be like, oh, where's a picture of Rory Stern or this guru? Here's a great example. The quickest and easiest way to attract a newbie is to put up an image of you standing in front of a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, your mansion, an airplane, a private jet. Quickest way to attract a newbie, a biz op seeker, is to do that. And I often tell people that's also the quickest way to attract a broke ass person who is never going to buy from you. Because the person who is obsessed with the Lamborghini, the Ferrari, or at least the person who is attracted to that is somebody who's looking to obtain that. And the psychological profile is typically somebody who's broke, who wants get rich quick, who wants success overnight. They're going to opt in. Maybe they'll buy your $7 tripwire, but they're not buying your $2,000 course. And we've got the data to back that up with my own agency and with other advertisers I talk to. So there's an example. How do you go after the sophisticated buyer? Well, you can try, a fancy dinner on the back of a yacht, but unfortunately that goes into the psyche of the get rich quick person. But what you can do is show more sophisticated imagery. You can have certain backgrounds that are velvet rope, celebrity, a fancy library with beautiful, elegant 15th century, and I'm exaggerating now, couches. Like, what does the person respond to? Entering the conversation in someone's mind. Let's say you're selling a supplement. A lot of people love to show the supplement bottle. Well, guess what, folks? That's a great retargeting ad. That's not a cold traffic ad. Very few people, I shouldn't say nobody, because now this builds on, where is your customer on the awareness model? Are they product aware? Are they problem aware? Are they solution aware? Are they unaware? So when you introduce, here's my product, you're basically going after somebody who's aware of supplements, who's willing to try supplements. How do you get somebody that doesn't know the supplement is out there or that the supplement is right? So for that, what is their pain point? Let's go with somebody.
They also didn't open Facebook that moment and start scrolling their feed going like, wow, I hope I find a supplement bottle here. It's very different than like they went to Amazon and typed, weight loss supplement, whatever it is. But they're also not scrolling Facebook going like, geez, I hope I find a supplement here, a supplement bottle in my feed today. I mean, not at least consciously, right?
No,
again, they're not going there for, I wonder what laundry detergent is up to today. Let me see the Tide status update.
Again, brilliant insight, right? So now we're bringing it back to basics that are so pivotal to all of this that we wouldn't be talking about, and how to crush it with images, because it really is built on the principles, the basics. So you're right. So let's remind people, Facebook is a social platform. It is interruption marketing. Nobody is logging into Facebook except marketers like us to go, how can we make money from Facebook? Okay. People, for the most part, are going onto Facebook to escape reality, to get away from a job they hate, from people they don't like, to connect with their family across the world who are sharing baby pictures and stupid memes. I mean, that's why I use Facebook. I don't go on Facebook to do business. I go on Facebook to get away, to have some fun. So you think about it, and let's go with, let's keep with supplements. So most people are going to introduce, here's my supplement. Well, what does your supplement do? Let's break it down. What does your supplement do? Well, it helps ease anxiety, which again, we can't say from a compliance perspective, but we're not talking about that right now. We're not promoting any products. So let's just say we want to promote something that does a calming, soothing effect. Okay, you can choose to show your product and say, hey, this is going to calm or soothe, or you can show one of two avatars. You can show your ideal avatar. So in this case, we're going to pick a 45-year-old woman who wants to be calm for whatever reason. You've got two ways of catching their attention. You can show a stressed out image, like a woman who is so stressed out they're losing their mind, and the person watching your ad or looking at your ad can go, holy shit, I wonder why they're so stressed out. Or you can show the reverse, the outcome that your product offers, which is a very calm, peaceful, relaxed woman, and the stressed out woman is going, how come she gets to do that? How do I get there?
And it's either I resonate so deep, it's that my favorite joke is about this is that Ron White joke where he's like, are you naked on a beanbag chair eating Cheetos? The Ron White joke about the televangelist. They're either looking at that going, the stressed out woman going like, how did they get a photo of me into their ad? Because they resonate with it so deeply of where they are now and their problem, or you visualize so boldly where they want to be that they can visualize themselves into that future that your product provides, right? So you have one of those two that you need to show them.
Exactly. And that's the level that we're going to, is putting forth an image. And again, so many people, if you're listening and you're watching this, I'm being very careful in my words. Images, not video. Images. Images. Yes, you can do the same and have the same effect with videos, but videos take more time to produce. Images, you can get results back so much faster. And we have people all the time to say, well, images are crushing it. Awesome. We're doing great with images. Now imagine what you can do if you apply these principles to your videos. So yeah, you want to allow your person, your avatar, your prospect to project themselves in the ad creative, to see themselves in that ad to a point where they go, oh my God, that's me. I need that. Then you let your ad copy tell the rest of the story, or you move them off of Facebook to let your landing page do more of the positioning and pre-framing and qualifying. And that again brings up a whole other systemic issue of, do you want curiosity clicks, meaning your landing page has to do the selling? Or again, do you want qualified clicks? Very few people in my experience have the chops to move curiosity clicks off of Facebook and get them to convert to cold traffic. most of the time, you want to move qualified people over who are already pre-framed and ready to engage, especially if you are looking for a 1+ ROAS within 24 hours that so many people want. Is how do I get an immediate direct response result? Curiosity copy can take a lot more time to warm people up and move them from prospect to customer.
Can you tell me about, so we've talked a lot about the things that you have learned and that you know, but I'm curious, can you give me some specific examples of campaigns, you know, where you've split tested this, you know, some of these brag-worthy campaigns, again, specifically around this whole idea of the images. I'd love to hear about some specific results that you've produced in some of your campaigns.
Yeah. So first off, fair warning to anyone listening, I am not a brag-worthy marketer. I don't play that game. So I don't have the stats in front of me off the top of my head to give you exact staggering numbers. They're in a file somewhere that we use when we need to. So I'll give you generalities. One of them is really easy to fact check and back up and get the exact numbers. We caught Justin's attention back in, I think it was October, November of 2019, when he ran a contest. I'm looking for the best creatives. And we gave Justin, this is funny, I don't know if he talks about it. He always says, we gave them enough creative to choke a bear. We gave Justin's team 183 different variations to images, and they tested 4 or 5 of them. And he ran our images against his control. He ran it against a bunch of other people. I don't remember exactly what we did, but I know we cut the CPL. I know we increased the CTR, and I know we cut the CPA. I don't think Justin will ever say we beat his control, because the control had been running for months and months and months and had done volumes of traffic and volumes of sales compared to what we did during the test period that he ran our creative. But we won that contest out of all the other submissions. And we effectively did beat the control, because by definition, we cut the CPA, we increased the CTR. I mean, that, you know, to get that recognition from Justin, it goes to prove that we've got the brag-worthy results with our images. So walk me through this, Kate. What other questions do you have about that creative?
Sure. I mean, I don't know. That's particular one campaign. You mentioned the campaigns like where you did the guru images versus the non-guru images. Obviously, you saw improved results there. We talked a little bit about supplements. Is there another? So we talked about guru business. We talked about supplements. We talked about Justin's contest. Do you have other types of businesses that you work with that you see a difference versus the status quo, or what people are kind of doing versus what you're doing outside the box? Thinking with these images.
There's 2 things we can do here. So number one, I can give you actual, like, more concrete data of the guru versus the non-guru, because we've talked about it in generalities and people want results. I'll get to that sort of case study in a minute. What I can say about, are there other industries? I've lost count of how many different industries and niches and gurus and non-gurus we've helped. But I mean, we run finance, we run health, we run, you know, I don't want to say biz op, because I don't do the whole make money online, get rich quick, but, you know, business building, coaching, consulting. We've run the gamut. And we use the same principles over and over and over again. National campaigns, international campaigns, local campaigns. Ask your question.
Is it e-com, SaaS? You just said local business, service providers,
everything,
information product. Okay, so not only just the different like niches, but also the different genres, so to speak, of business. Okay, good. What about B2B? What about B2B? Like, what about a dude who's selling industrial pipes to hotel construction building people? Is that a thing? People always ask me about industrial B2B. That's the only reason I'm asking.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we've done B2B. We had a client who sold physical goods and accessories, products in the restaurant business. So they were a supplier to restaurants and hotel chains. And there's not, I mean, you don't need to go as deep down the rabbit hole, because literally if you show the pots and pans, you're going to get them in the right frame of mind. But what a lot of people do in something like that, like there's the difference between showing your product on a boring white background versus having a grayish background, or using a white background with your product and putting a transparent layer over your ad so that it jumps out a little bit more. There's the difference between that boring old white background that you may have to putting a luxurious background in there. So again, sort of that nice black leather with gold trim. Like, think about the accents and how can you stand out. It's simple things like that.
So when you say you sent Justin 183 images to test, I can see that you kind of like make no assumptions and you just create a bunch, based on what you just said, create a bunch of images with all these different variations and just throw them at the wall, and you know what I mean, and put them all up and test and see which ones.
Yeah. So
test,
I mean,
test 183 images. Have you been?
I mean, that's an awful lot. Like we wanted, I mean, basically, Kate, you think about it, it was, I went to my design team and just said, listen, we've got this contest we're going to enter our creative into. Follow our SOPs. Because when I go to my team and ask for images, I'm usually getting 60 back.
Okay.
I'm usually getting multiple backgrounds, multiple colors, multiple variations, different sizes. Because, for me, another interesting point, and let's not forget the case study, I still to this day use 1200 by 628 image ads. And most of the agencies and advertisers we talk to are like, well, I want 1200 by 1200 because that's what Facebook recommends. Awesome. I don't care what Facebook recommends. I care what I get results with. So we still outperform with 1200 by 628, but I'm still going to have my team create 1200 by 1200. I'm going to have them create, I think it's 720 by 961 so that it's taller because I want to take up the mobile news feed. So, I mean, right there, just that's 3 sizes. Now add in 2 backgrounds. Now add in 4 backgrounds. Like, you start to see how it multiplies.
Mm-hmm.
So
Totally.
we normally get about, 60 back, and I'll just look at them and go, all right, these catch my eye the most. Let's start with these. And I'm only testing 2 or 3.
And then, and then you were going to tell us about some of the stats that you do have in the guru business with the guru image versus non-guru image.
So we had a business owner come to us who sells high ticket training, and their control was a testimonial from a very, very popular and well-known guru. And that's a great ad to have. But to me, that's a retargeting ad. And it's only going to work to a small audience who know that guru and who revere that guru. That to me is not sustainable. That's not scalable. It's not going to necessarily work to cold traffic. And I'm always thinking, how do I do something bigger? Not how do I capture all the people from this one small bucket? Don't get me wrong. I want to capture all the fish in that bucket, but I also want to know, how can I go bigger? So that person came to me and said, hey, listen, I want to test out your design service. We're relying on this guru video. What can you come up with for me? Because I want to grow my business beyond relying on this guru testimonial. I said, great, let me put it together for you. We put together a package of ads. Again, images. 1200 by 628 was the winner, not 1200 by 1200. And we reduced his cost per sale. I'm forgetting. I think it was a $7,500 or maybe a $5,000 price point for the high ticket. We took his cost per sale from $800 down to $250, like $800 down to $250.
Thank you for that. That's nice. Yeah. That was nice of you.
Yeah. So
that's awesome. That is a significant. I mean, that's just not like, sometimes we're playing beat the control. We talked about little hinges swinging big doors. That's not a little hinge.
No.
That's not a little decrease.
So, is everybody, so I'm going to play the reverse. Because again, I'm not a guru marketer. I'm not going to paint rosy pictures and not show the flip side. Is every single client going to get that result? No. Is every client going to get that result with the first package that they get? Or even forget the first package they get. I'm talking as if I'm selling something. I'm here training and educating. Is everybody going to get that from the first image they test? No. But that's what's possible. And we do it over and over and over and over again across clients, across industries. I don't even like my results that I get for my business. I'm not going to use and hold up as, hey, look at what I'm doing over here. It's my business. Can we do it over 5 different verticals for 17 different clients? Can you do this exponentially? And the answer is yes. If you put in the time and effort to thinking about how you create your images or how you turn and take it to the next level with video, you can have these same results just by making a few simple tweaks. And again, it's not that hard. Justin teaches it here in AdSkills. I take it to the nth degree, but the principles are the same.
You probably take everything to the nth degree, though.
I may.
What do you think is the biggest thing that you've gotten out of the AdSkills Pro community? You just mentioned, you've mentioned a couple times stuff that Justin teaches. Is that it sounds like he kind of gives you a springboard for something, and then it gives you inspiration to go kind of test and try to break it or beat beat his control, so to speak, or beat his SOP.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things definitely being in AdSkills in Pro League and getting access to Justin's brain is invaluable. The community that he set up, and mind you, anyone listening, if you join, you're going to see, yes, I'm a guardian, AKA moderator. So I'm ridiculously biased. Know that going in. I love everything Justin and Shauna put out. I'm a big raving fan. I think what they've created is incredible. And that's why I am a guardian. I want to support them and help build that community and give back. And as I said, it's a community, right? So there are our fellow guardians and instructors in there, Kate, who share real world stuff. There are new people that come in all the time that ask questions, that push the boundaries. There are people who introduce, confounding variables. So AKA stuff that goes against, the norm, what you would expect, that stimulate critical thinking. I mean, there's not enough I can say about the value that I get from being a member of AdSkills and Pro League.
That's what we've been hearing from the top ad buyers that are out just killing it with stuff. So you did say earlier, I know we're not selling anything. However, I can't imagine after somebody watching this video that they're not going to want to reach out and potentially work with you if they're a good fit for you. So first of all, what are the requirements for somebody that might be looking for a media buying agency, or to work with someone, or maybe even just to get some consulting or something? What are the requirements there? And then how would they get in contact with you to do that?
Awesome question. Thank you. And I appreciate that. So there are 2 things that we can do to help people. There is the done for you media buying. So full on A to Z traffic management that I will qualify people, because there's only a small percentage of people that we can help and work with. We also do have an ad creative agency. So if you just wanted our team of graphic designers to do what I just talked about for your agency, we have that as well. The best way to contact us is at helpwithads.com. Real easy, helpwithads.com. For the agency, you've already got to be spending $50, $60, $100,000 a month on your ads for us to really come in and do a good job with you. Why? Because that means you've fully tested your offer, you've proven it out, and you're looking for an agency for a couple different reasons. Number one, you've reached a certain limit or level that you can't get past, and you want someone to come in. You have the fundamentals and abilities to continue scaling, but you realize that your business needs you to focus on other activities to continue growing it, and you want somebody competent to come in and take over and do as good of a job as you, if not a better job. Yes, we do offer consulting and coaching, and those are things we can one-off. And, if you go to helpwithads.com, just fill out the form, contact us, and we'll see how we can help you.
Rock on. Well, thank you very, very much for being here. This was an awesome interview. I learned a lot specifically about those images and many things, but specifically about the images and the profiling. That was really helpful. So thanks for sharing that. And you guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being here. Please subscribe to the podcast, or if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for being here, Rory.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. This was fun.
If you'd like to learn more about how to use paid traffic and analytics to scale your business, subscribe to the AdSkills channel so you'll be notified every time new content is released. If you'd like to learn more about the topic we just discussed, check out the related video we're posting right now.